Action Comics number 5, written by Grant Morrison, art by Andy Kubert. We left off last issue with a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to care about because this issue is completely unconnected. Grant just decided he got tired of the story he was telling and decided to do something else. So, this issue picks up with Krypton literally falling apart. If everything's burning and cracking apart, and we see Jor-El and I think it was Lara is her name, and they've got Baby Clark and Crypto the Superdog, and they are just trying to find a way to escape. And Jor-El suggests, okay, I kind of sucks that I was right about the entire planet falling apart, but hey, we can get out of here. We just have to go through the Phantom Zone. And Jor-El explains it's an anti-universe that was made as a jail for Krypton supercriminals, but now it's their only way out. So he boots up the projector to allow him, his family, and his dog in. And then as he approaches it, they see all the supercriminals that I guess they've put away. And the supercriminals are just standing there like, yeah, Jor-El, you put us here. Come on in. As one of them, that seems to be like the leader, has a metal claw that literally reaches through the portal, which is not supposed to be possible. And he's like, come on in, and we're going to come in, and we're going to mess up your life, and we're going to corrupt your son, and everything's going to be awful for you. And then as he's monologuing, Crypto leaps up, bites onto the dude's hand, and he gets pulled in as the guy tries to retract his hand. So Crypto went to the Phantom Zone as the projector starts to shatter, and therefore they can't get in there anymore. So they're like, okay, we need a plan B. What's a plan B? And Laura makes the suggestion of the rocket. And they go, and there's this rocket that they made as an experimental model to show that they could make like an arc that would get all of Krypton's people off, but of course it was shut down. And they were like, look, it's not big enough for a person. It was supposed to be used for an animal test pilot, but it's also big enough for our baby. So they put it in there. They say their goodbyes to Kal-El, their son, and as the ship takes off, Krypton begins to completely fall apart. And this is, the rest of the story is told from the perspective of the ship. Like, they say, first off, they say that the ship has onboard Brainiac AI and a superluminal drive, so it's able to go faster than light. But anyway, it's all told from the ship. And they're like, look, ship, go to a place with a young son so he can get super strong via like photosynthesis, whatever. Give it a planet that has weaker gravity, so it seems like he's like flying over them. And just scan for that, ship. Okay, go. And they send it off. And the planet explodes behind the ship. It goes into like a protective cocoon thing as it activates its faster than light drive. It flies off. It does the calculations. It finds exactly what was asked of it. It has a young sun. The gravity is only 1/5 of Krypton's gravity, and it has oxygen and stuff, which I guess are necessary for Kryptonians as well. And it starts crashing down to Earth. And we see Martha and John Kent, who Martha's upset because she, I guess, recently miscarried, and John's not exactly being super sensitive about it. He's just like, oh, are you still upset about the deformed calf from good old Bessie? It's like, no, I'm upset about losing our baby, John. But then they see the rocket crash down. They go over, investigate, and they see the baby inside, and they're like, okay, I guess we're taking the baby. So they take that as military choppers all start arriving. They start making their way out, and it's like, okay, well, hold on. John's like, I think I have a way that we can throw off the scent. We see the ship's perspective again. It does a scan on the planet and sees that they are essentially apes with atom bombs, are the exact words used. So it's like, if the technology within me got into their hands, it would all be over for them. So I'm going into silent mode. Then we cut back to the John thing real quick, and John drove back towards the military site. Some soldiers stop him, and he's like, They use some excuse about it being a chemical spill or something, and John's like, no. I know exactly what this was. I reckon we got a spaceman in the back. So why don't you check that out, and maybe you can give me some reward money or something. And it ends up being Bessie's deformed calf is what he's trying to pass off as an alien, which is why like 3 issues ago, Lex thought that that's what a Kryptonian looked like because it was Bessie's deformed calf. Anyway, so we cut to the ship. The ship is unloaded by a bunch of soldiers. They do some firing tests at it, and then we see silent mode turned off once Kal-El, Superman, finds the ship again, and the ship is talking to him, and he's like, "Many greetings, Star Child, of the great star and the waxing moon." And then Clark puts his hand on and says, "Protect yourself, I'll be back soon." Goes black again. We see Lex hitching a ride along in the truck that has his ship. And then it just says how then the Collector came to Earth and everything was changed forever. So began the age of superhumans. And then we see that it's been growing these like icy looking spikes all over it. So that's a thing. And I guess this takes place after the Spicy Ike part. But then we see that a group of criminals, which I think are the ones that were inside the Phantom Zone, because one of them has the same metal claw hand, they reach the ship and they're like, oh, this is before Superman's Fortress of Solitude was able to protect itself against time travelers. So they're time travelers. They reach in and they rip out the kryptonite engine that was powering the ship. And then they just reminisce for a bit of how all kryptonite in the universe came from this specific source. And then I guess the ship's defending itself. They all teleport out. They have a couple names in here listed, like Drekken. I guess it's really hard to tell what in the hell's going on in this section. But anyway, they all disappear. A group of other people rush into the room and be like, "Oh no, the perfect break-in, and we couldn't prevent it. We're up against something that can erect impregnable shields around events. This is beyond even the Time Trapper. The kryptonite engine is gone." And we see 3 superheroes, which I know are from the Legion of Superheroes, but they make no indication of that. And an older Superman, still wearing his Kryptonian battle armor. And they say how the engine is now in the hands of the anti-Superman army, who are time travelers and in this. And apparently with the kryptonite engine, the planet is doomed to die, which seems to be a running theme. Why did we do this now? I don't understand. Full disclosure, this book, this trade, was put in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 5, 6. So it was real confusing for me when I first started reading and realized I had to skip ahead to this issue. But no, yeah, I don't understand why we're doing this right now. Like maybe, because I think this is a 2-parter. I think we're going to get the same story next month as well. Maybe we'll get some extra insight as to what's going on in the old story, but I have no clue what's going on right now. I am so lost, and we just threw in time travelers and the anti-Superman army and all this extra stuff. I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of looking forward to figure out, but as it has been on this show, I'm always very confused with Legion of Superhero stuff, and this is no exception. So I'll give it a 7 because I liked everything right up until those like last 4 pages of like the Rocket story and his coming to Earth. But as soon as you got into the time traveling anti-Superman army, I'm out. I don't know what's going on, but 7 for the rest of it.